Ukraine and Saudi Arabia have signed a mega deal in the defense sector, and from now on, both countries have become full-fledged military allies. Ukraine and Saudi Arabia have signed an agreement on cooperation in the field of defense. The document was signed before the meeting between the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud, who is considered the de facto leader of the country. As Zelensky wrote, the document serves as a basis for future contracts and strengthens Ukraine's international role as a security provider. But this deal has a much more important symbolic significance. Ukraine has officially become a military partner and ally of Iran's opponents. And it will be much harder for Trump to claim that Ukraine has no leverage, that Ukraine supposedly doesn't help the Gulf countries in any way. In this episode, we'll discuss what kind of agreement Ukraine and Saudi Arabia signed and why it even caused a bit of panic in the Kremlin. My name is Pechiy. Let's discuss this topic together, but before we start, I ask you to support the work of this YouTube channel by liking the video, subscribing, and possibly becoming a sponsor or making a donation. All the links and details on how to do this are in the description of this video. I will be grateful for any support you can give. In addition, subscribe to my Telegram channel Pechiy News. The link to it is in the description of this video. So, the day before, the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, arrived in Saudi Arabia on an unannounced visit. Shortly before the trip, he stated that Ukrainian drones could help improve security in the Persian Gulf region. Earlier that same day, Zelensky suggested using Ukrainian experience in drone technology to enhance security around the world. In particular in the countries of the Persian Gulf, because who, if not Ukrainians, know how to counter Iranian drones? And Zelensky directly explained why such cooperation is very important. Quote, "This is important because energy security and the cost of living, especially in Europe, depend on their oil, gas, and other resources, as well as the stability of global markets. The key factor is not only the production of new weapons, primarily drones, and not only technology, but also the real experience of their use, as well as integration with radars, aircraft, and other air defense systems. We have this experience." Zelensky noted that in return he expects help in defending Ukraine from the ongoing Russian invasion. Here is another quote from him. "We would like the countries of the Middle East to also give us the opportunity to strengthen our defenses. They have certain missiles for air defense systems that we lack. That's exactly what this is about. We would like to reach an agreement." And it is already known that several Ukrainian companies are producing electronic warfare systems against drones, as well as those very drone interceptors. Well, which have very colorful names. One of them is Pechiy, Pivansan. So these companies are already negotiating the supply of weapons, their interception systems, and the drone interceptors themselves with Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. And right now, such cooperation is critically important for Ukraine. After all, according to media reports, the US may redirect weapons intended for Ukraine to the Persian Gulf countries because of the war with Iran, which makes a possible drone deal even more important for Kyiv. The Washington Post writes that the Pentagon is considering transferring weapons intended for Ukraine to the Middle East, as the war with Iran is depleting US stocks of the most critical munitions, and Trump confirmed this information the day before. As a result, Ukraine and Saudi Arabia signed a cooperation agreement in the field of defense. The document was signed before the meeting between Zelensky and bin Salman. And as Zelensky wrote, the document serves as a basis for future contracts and strengthens international cooperation. Ukraine and Saudi Arabia signed a cooperation agreement in the field of air defense. Against the backdrop of the war in the Middle East, during which Iran is also striking targets in Saudi Arabia. The President of Ukraine wrote that he also met with Ukrainian military experts in Saudi Arabia who, I remind you, have been working in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for more than a week to provide support. According to him, the task of the experts, quote, is to identify problem areas and determine what changes are needed to better protect people and save lives from Iranian shaheds and missiles. Let me remind you, it all started with the operations of the US and Israel against Iran, in response to which Iran began launching missile and drone attacks on countries in the region. Zelensky, who supported Washington's actions, is offering Ukraine's assistance in protecting the region from attacks. Attacks by drones, referring to the experience gained in defending against Russian and Iranian drones. It was reported that Ukrainian experts traveled to several Middle Eastern countries that are under attack by Iran. So, now we understand that these groups of specialists were simply laying the groundwork for negotiations like these. Saudi Arabia and other countries in the region maintain a neutral position regarding Russia's war against Ukraine. They are in contact with both Moscow and Kyiv. Zelensky emphasized that during his conversation with Prince bin Salman, he discussed, among other things, the assistance that Moscow is providing to Iran, including sending drones there. It's important to note how Russian propagandists are reacting to this news. And they're having a meltdown over there. The Kremlin stated that from now on, Saudi Arabia and Ukraine have become military allies, and Moscow should pay closer attention to its relations with Riyadh. But still, the main idea of cooperation is that Ukraine can protect the airspace over the Persian Gulf countries from Iranian drones. And since Ukrainian experts have already been in the region for more than a week, the first results have appeared. It seems that the Persian Gulf countries have become bolder in confronting Iran, which makes sense. First, you need to protect yourself, and only then initiate any actions. After signing the agreement with Ukraine, Saudi Arabia called on the US to intensify attacks on Iran. At the same time, the kingdom is weighing whether to join the fighting directly. In fact, the country's leader, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, urged US President Donald Trump not to end the war against Iran under any circumstances. Believing that the joint campaign by the US and Israel is a historic opportunity to reshape the region, Saudi Arabia insists not only on continuing the operation against Iran, but also on significantly expanding it. Trump also made it clear that he supports bin Salman's position, calling the Crown Prince an ally in the fight. And now The Guardian adds that despite the lack of direct involvement by Riyadh in the war, which has been going on for almost a month, experts still do not rule out that bin Salman may eventually enter this war. He will enter the war directly once he has fully ensured as much as possible his own security, and signing an agreement with Ukraine is one of the steps in that direction. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. If you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so with any donation, paid subscription, or sponsorship on YouTube, or through email. PayPal, crypto wallets, in general, all the details on how to do this, all the links are in the description of this video. I will be grateful for any support you give. And subscribe to my Telegram channel, Pechiy News. The link is in the description of this video. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, everyone.